Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to my latest review. And now we're taking a look at Crossout for the ZX Spectrum. Now, back in November of 2020, I reviewed the Commodore Amiga version. That remains a polished shooter even to this day, especially for a game of its time. Its shop system and its underwater setting helped differentiate it from the crowd, and even though the game was a bit tough, it was still very enjoyable, and I gave it a respectable 7 out of 10. So now we're taking a look at an 8-bit version, as I said, the ZX Spectrum version, as well as the ZX Spectrum, both 48K and 128K. It also came out for the Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, and the Commodore 64, and was published by Rainbow Arts and released in 1990. So it's telling us to hit that button, and so that's exactly what we're going to do. So here's our shop sequence, and there's our shop assistant who made those rather throaty noises in the Amiga version. And as in the Amiga version, you start off with 12,000 points, you can see down there, and the points double as your money, and I've just spent £3 on a ship, and now I'm going to equip it a bit. Now this is interesting because in the Amiga version you had multiple different strengths of the single, double, and triple shots. But it looks as if in this version you've only got one type of each. Same goes for the different missiles by the looks of things. So I've got 5,800 there. Can I afford a drone? Yes, I can. No, I don't want that one. Oh, well, I accidentally clicked on the cross-out button, so it's taken me straight to the game part. And because I only bought one ship, I've only got one life. And the first thing I've noticed is, well, I was expecting it to be monochrome, but one thing that is a bit of a shame is that there's no music, and it's a bit quick. It's not as fast as that Protector game, so it's still sort of playable, but it could have done with having its speed reduced a bit, because it's a bit too much. And you can tell it's the 128K version because of the sound that's lightning's shot is making. Oh, what? You don't even get an explosion? That's a bit limp. I like the use of colour in that, especially considering the Spectrum's colour attribute limitations. Let's do this again, shall we? Yeah, the shop's a bit laggy though. Right. Let's get this one this time. That's the one I tried to get last time. What I don't know is how you're supposed to undo something if you suddenly decide you didn't want a particular thing anymore. Because in the Amiga version, you could actually click on it again and then dump it in this thing here, which is basically a dustbin, and get the money back that you would have paid for it had you gone ahead with it. But that doesn't seem to work, so I'm not absolutely sure what you're supposed to do here. So I've got 4 different weapons, so I think I'll try that now. So you can see I've got some more weapons this time. It's just such a shame that even this 128K version doesn't have any in-game music. Smooth enough, but it is a little bit too fast. I'm also a bit worried that great if enemies start to breathe on them dead. Why can't your ship explode? I mean, the other things clearly explode, so would it really have killed them to have even have your ship exploding? And then these as in the Amiga version, the different ships get progressively more expensive. Although they seem to be in a different order to this, because that one was the second, whereas that one was fourth, whereas this one's second. Whereas the one that's fourth, the most expensive, is the second one down in this version. What's that all about? Yeah, never mind. Oh, see, I clicked on that. Will you operate? How do you delete things? Can you even delete them? Ugh. What's the point in having a bin if it doesn't work? Yeah, this really does run a bit too fast. And it really is a shame that there's no in-game music. On the 48K Spectrum version, I can understand that because of the limitations of the hardware, but there's not really any excuse for the 128K Spectrum to not have any. I mean, it would have been great if they could have had an AY version of Chris Hidbeck's tunes, perhaps. Oh, come on, how did that not hit? Let's see if we can buy more than one ship this time. Well, I know we can. Yep, so now I've got 2 lives, so at least it'll be interesting to see if there's actually an explosion if I've got a second life. Will you respond? Now switch to the other ship and arm that similarly. Or not. I can't afford that, obviously. I mean, it'd be nice if there could be sound in this so you could tell whether or not you couldn't actually afford something. But at least I've got a second life this time. So hopefully I'll be able to see a bit more, hopefully. Yeah. Ship controls well enough, it's just that the game runs too quickly. It could have done with being slightly slower. I'm nearly dead already. So you don't get an explosion in. Oh yeah, I couldn't afford it. Oh, flipping out! I didn't even know there was something there. That is another problem with the monochrome. You have to be very careful not to miss seeing the boat's undersides on the top of the water there. Oh, I remember this boss from the Amiga version. So at least that's in there. But there's very restricted space. It's going to be a lot harder without the extra weapons that I could afford when I had just one ship. At least the hit detection seems to be okay. See, if a game ran at this sort of speed, it'd be a bit more bearable. It just runs too fast every other time. Great, now I've got one hit and I'm dead. Nah, it's too. The fact that it generally runs too fast and there's such a restricted space due to the lower screen resolution makes crossout on the spectrum a bit more problematic. So I'm going to end the review there and do my usual wind up. It's okay, but it does have some problems. Graphics look very nice, monochrome with the exception of this screen here. I mean, that was understandable because of the Spectrum's colour attribute limitations. I mean, it would have been nice if there could have been some colour, but hey ho. I mean, colour can be done in scrolling shoot 'em ups because they managed to do it with the likes of R-Type, for instance. Admittedly, that one didn't scroll up and down, whereas this one does, so that might also have played a part in them sticking to monochrome. I mean, so some of the things that are on the surface of the water are a bit hard to see because of the detail of the water and the fact that as you saw, I crashed into the underside of a ship or boat or something like that because it was a bit too indistinct. Sound is very disappointing considering this is a 128K version. I don't understand why there's no AY music in this 128K version. 48K I could have understood, but it's just lacking something when you can get 128K game with AY music in so many other cases, and this was just crying out for it to give it a bit more life. And the sound effects are okay, but the music would have helped to give it a bit more of a lift. Gameplay. Well, the biggest problems, apart from the aforementioned problem with the graphics on the water side being indistinct, causing you to crash into something that you perhaps couldn't see so well because it blends in a bit. The shop sequence is a little bit unresponsive. Sometimes you can click on something you want to try and buy, and it doesn't always register what you need to pick up, and the fact there's no sound in that bit, you can't tell whether it simply hasn't responded or whether if you've got a low number of points, whether you just can't afford it. I mean, you didn't have that problem in the Amiga version because you get a buzzing sound if the reason is that you can't afford it or genuinely can't put it on there because you haven't got a ship that can handle as many weapons as the more expensive ones. and I don't understand why in the shop sequence you can't seem to take something off if you change your mind the way you could in the Amiga version. I mean, I tried all sorts of things, including what I did in that to do it. In that version, you would just click on it and drop it in that basically living bin that's in the bottom right corner, but that didn't seem to do it. Doing that didn't seem to do anything at all in this version. So I don't know whether that means if you've already committed to attaching something to your ship, it's tough. But if that were the case, then it would be good if they could actually show you the price of a weapon before committing to buying it, because that can cause some real problems if you decide something's too expensive and you can't do anything about it. And B, there's a problem with there not being as much visible on screen and a restricted movement area because of the lower screen resolution. That can cause problems when you're trying to avoid getting hit by bullets and other such things. C, some of your shots, particularly missiles and theirs, can get muddled up. So if it looks, you might think that you're being chased by one of your own missiles and not realise it's an enemy's, and vice versa. So you can end up panicking. And D, the game in general runs too quickly. It could have done with being slowed down a little bit, because for the most part it just runs too fast, and it's very hard to avoid crashing into things or taking damage, because of bullets and bullets in particular go really quickly, and so do some other types of shot, like shots from those fixed gun emplacements. Those are too fast as well, so they're very hard to avoid. So yeah, cross out on the Spectrum was a bit disappointing for me, and even though this is cheaper than the Amiga version, especially for the 128K version we're looking at here, this is quite wanting, especially with the lack of music. So anyway, I'm going to give the Spectrum version of Crossout 6 out of 10, with a bit more tweaking and some other bits here and there. It could have been easily a 7 like I gave the Amiga version, or even an 8. 9 might have been pushing it, although I hadn't ruled that out entirely. But the problems with this version mean I can't be quite so kind to it in general, even allowing for the technical limitations of 8-bit computers compared to a 16-bit novel, one like the Amiga version I reviewed back in the last stages of 2020. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that review. Hope to catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.